I'm Suzi Landolfi, and welcome to Be Crazy Well. Oh my God, we're already recording because I didn't want to miss this minute that you.
Yes, I know. That was like the whole Suzi. How are you?
Oh my God, I'm so happy to see you.
I know, this is great.
It's
You look great.
it's fabulous, except you're 3,000 miles away.
I know, right? It's crazy.
Where are you?
Right now I'm in Kentucky. So I live in Louisville right now, but I'm actually in Lexington because I'm having like twice a year I go get my car kind of all tuned up and looking in tip-top shape. And so this is like
Wait,
a
twice
dear
a
friend of
year?
mine.
Twice a
What's
year,
that?
that's the only time you get your car all tip-top?
Well, no, well, the oil change, and then they do
Oh, I
all the
see.
little
Okay.
bells and whistles to it now, so it's all like a thing. So it's yeah, so it's cool. It's plus like I stay with people, they're like family to me down here. So I go and I get to visit their kids and hang out with them, and it's really cool. So it's a good little thing we're at right now.
Okay, so
Yeah.
everybody, welcome to Be
hmm
Crazy Well, and I'm here with Aron Haddad. Did I say that
hmm
right? Because I've never
I
had to say
pronounce it
your last
Haddad. I
name.
just like, but like I'm so like Americanized. I just say it's Haddad. That's the way I've always
Yeah,
said it.
I was
So
just
yeah,
gonna say down there, they're saying Haddad.
yeah, like that's just what we yeah. I've always kind of done it that way. So it's all good. Like that's my if I know who you're talking about, job done, right?
I just say Aron because Aron with
Yes, yeah, right.
Aron with
Mhm.
one A. So I want you to tell everybody how the hell I know you and knew you for quite a long time before I knew that you were in the wrestling world. So do you want to share? Do you remember how we met?
Yes, we met. We were volunteering at a animal rescue place. We had a friend too. Like we well, that's where we physically met, but we met through a friend. Her name was Sherman. She was in Malibu. She was a Malibu staple, and we had always just kind of like I mean, you can't be in that area like for any length of time and not know Sherman, right?
That's
Especially
right.
if you're involved in
Yeah.
any kind of animal issue. And so yeah, eventually like we connected through her, and then it was so funny because we had the like I knew right away. I'm like, okay, you're from Massachusetts. What part are you from? You know what I mean? Because it's like the little things. Because you don't have a thick Boston accent, but you can tell on some of the things. Like, okay, no, you're from this like 100-mile radius at some point. So that was kind of cool, and we always just kind of had that connection. And no, ever since then we've been just great friends, and it's been awesome. And like I'm just so happy to be on here because I see the great stuff you're doing.
Well, you're doing great stuff too. And I say that, and this is what I want to get into in a minute. I want to also tell everybody, you just heard the accent there. There's a T in there, want to. So,
Oh,
um,
wicked.
wicked piss out when we talk like that because we should go to the packing and get some beers. You
Mm-hmm.
have no idea
Mm-hmm.
what I just said at that moment, but you do because you're from Worcester,
Mm-hmm.
not Worcester,
Mm.
Worcester, right?
Well, actually, it's like 10 miles south of Worcester. Oxford is the way they say it.
Oxford.
So,
Oh my
yeah,
God, Oxford. O X
yeah,
F E E D. Oxford or
yes,
OXFED. Oxfed. We fed the
yep,
oxes as opposed to Oxford.
yep.
There's actually right. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's so much fun when you meet somebody from New England, especially the Boston area, because there is one thing that we can totally bond on is that every single one of us, once we moved out, had to learn to say the letter R.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you have to use your
Mm-hmm.
mouth. You have to use your
Mm-hmm.
lips as opposed to ah.
Yeah,
It's hard. It's hard. You
it
know,
is.
it is hard. And the other thing we can do really well is we can say the F word in a sentence more times than anybody else.
Oh my God. So like I don't want to cut into time, but we may have had this conversation to where like geographical cussing is a real thing because like I grew up, look, there is my family, they are as Catholic as it comes. My grandfather, my mother, they all have faith like I wish I had. But they will say, GODDAMN, like they will say it like nothing. Like they will all the time. And then when you go to the South, like, oh no, that's like you
Yeah,
don't say that at all.
no,
It's a
that's real
weird thing, right?
swearing. Yeah.
And then like with the way we use the F word, like we'll say it all the time, and it doesn't mean we're mad. Like it's just
Ever. ever.
It's yeah, it's just all it means is like, no, we're just, that's how we talk. And then here in the South, if you have to be conscious, like, oh, why are you cussing at me? Like, what the F are you talking about? Like, I'm not cussing, but it's interesting. So like I had to learn that real quick.
It is. So I tell people if they really want to know how we talk in New England and in Boston, just watch the movie Ted, because Ted is a documentary. That's exactly the way that teddy bear talks, exactly the way we talk.
Yes. Oh my God, yes. Mm-hmm.
So I want to say something to you, because more people that listen to this podcast will know more about you in terms of your wrestling prowess and your unbelievable athleticism. I want to tell you, I work with retired professional athletes. You know that, emerging vets and players and veterans. And I have always known, being a gymnast, I've always known that wrestlers are by far some of the greatest athletes we've ever had.
Oh, thank you. It's it's performance art. It's performance art, and like anything else, it's a learned set of skills, I guess, right? To where it's an extremely niche thing, but yeah, like I often say, like, if you ask me to run a 5K, I'm like, absolutely not, no. And like one time my ex was like, oh, we should do this. I said, no. She goes, well, what do you mean? You're athletic? I'm like, no. Like, I have an agreement with my body. When I'm in front of people and and wearing spandex, I can do stuff that I can't in real life. Like on in day to day. No, I just I go to the gym, right? I kind of do my own thing, but like in terms of what I was capable of doing in a ring and how that translates to real life, it's like not so much. It's not like we don't have necessarily the regiment, right, of like you would see in the NFL, to where like the statistics and all these people around us, but it's kind of born out of because we have to do it so much, right? Like the flips and everything like that. Repetition is kind of the foundation stone of building any kind of any kind of greatness, right? Like you to some degree need repetition in terms of athleticism, because your body just needs to get used to doing something, whether it's you're in MMA, you're boxing, wrestling, basketball, whatever it is. So I think with us, like where we have to do that so much, and it's such like a live performance thing, where you almost like you have to get good quick, or you just kind of won't have the career that potentially you'd like to. So that's just kind of it's more out of necessity.
So you're doing three things. So an NFL player, which I've lots of friends who are NFL players, and a boxer who's a very dear friend of mine, and his brother is now doing wrestling. So here's the difference, though, and also having a degree in theater. When you go for a tackle, you are all in. Like you're throwing your entire body, you're all in. So we can see all of that power. Here's what you guys and women get to do.
Well, you're talking, so you have a friend in pro wrestling too, another one, because you're like using some term, like a tackle, how to.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, Suzi. Well, my God, it's been too long. We have to.
It is. So you have to go all in and hold back some. That's the hardest thing in the world, to throw a punch but hold it back at the same time, because you just want to tap. 10 times hard, but let's add something else on, and you're acting at the same time. Like, that's incredible, the amount of what you have to do mentally, what you have to be able to control in your body and make it look like you're all in, like 100%, like you're just throwing yourself at the quarterback. You're not. You're throwing yourself with intention and purpose, and holding back and figuring out how you're going to land and how you're going to make it look like you're hitting someone so hard, when in fact you're not, because then the performance is over because you can't get up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible. And I don't think people, I think they know it. I don't think they think about it enough and give you guys enough credit for that.
The cool part is, right, and like what you just said, now let's take it a step further. Now you have to walk out in front of 10, 20,000 people in your underpants. You have live television, right? So you're dealing with live television. So Coca-Cola was
right.
paying,
It's theater. It's theater.
for
film. Right. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
but for 30 seconds, right? For 30
Yeah.
seconds, Coca-Cola is paying like $500,000 for advertising, right? Or whatever it was at the time, right? So when you're doing this, right, again, in your underpants in front of a live audience, so you have to make everything look believable, or as believable as it can be in the that world of wrestling. And I say it's good enough so people suspend their disbelief. Like that's what believable is, right? So to where they can kind of understand, like just immerse themselves in the performance. But you have to be off TV within seconds, right? If we're going to a commercial break, we have to like know what to do that when we go to commercial, people will want to turn back because it's on like USA or Fox, whatever we run. Now, coupled with like you have to kind of factor all these things in and make sure the live crowd doesn't kind of just blank out. So there's a lot. So like to do this, like there's an extreme amount of precision, and I often say it's sensory overload to the umpteenth degree in terms of pressure. Cause like, after being on set with acting and stuff, I mean, there's sets where pressure's on, it's a late night shoot, whatever. But there's no pressure equal to live TV doing that. And then it has to be to the second, or else like you get into hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, like put back ratings. And it's just, there's so much that goes into it. But at the end of the day, you just learn to say, So, and I say, like, I'm more comfortable, I think, in extremely high pressure situations than I am in real life, to be
That makes
honest.
perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. When I was acting and I was doing live theater, I actually felt safer on the stage. Of course, I did have a crazy family, dangerous, crazy family. So, I mean, they couldn't get to me on the stage. That helped. That helped, right?
Yes.
And what you're saying is so important, which it also says to me, wouldn't that draw a certain kind of person to want to do that, even if they don't realize it right at the beginning? Now, you have a story where you always wanted to be a wrestler, or when you were very young. Is that true?
Yeah. And I mean, pretty much like I'm sitting talking to you today because I was 5 years old in a department store and there were like those old school arcade games. And the deal with mom was if I behaved, I would get to go play a game. Well, I happened to put a quarter in the wrestling one, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I remember like the stool I was stepping on, and I was just pressing buttons, and I lost. And then the character taunted me, and I said at that moment I was going to be a wrestler, and I was just like, all right, I guess that's how it ended up. So it's been a journey. Yeah, yeah, it's been.
But when I was little and wrestling was, I mean, wrestling's been around for thousands, if not as long as man and women have been on this planet, there's been wrestling for sure, right? That's always been part of our connection, whether it was a real fight or whether it was some kind of a ceremony, wrestling in a ceremony. So I'm much older than you, which I'm proud of.
Oh, you don't look at, so stop. You don't look
I
at.
know that's the good part, but I am. And I have all original body parts except a little help with my eyebrows. But anyway, I'm watching Haystack Calhoun in black and white television. Haystack Calhoun. People won't even remember that name. But that was, and he was a wrestler, and he was as big as a haystack. I mean, he was like huge.
500-600 pounds, I believe. With
Yeah,
the overalls, right?
Overalls. He looked like he just got off the farm. That's what I remember.
And it's interesting, right? Where if you go back historically to television in this country, right? So in the era where people were just getting TVs, right? Like television was just becoming a thing. There was two things on. There was the news and there was wrestling, because guess what? Wrestling was so cheap to produce, right? We had a system of like, there was different territories in the US, like there was the Northeast, there was the Southeast, whatever, right? And it was divided into territories. And this went for television too, I believe, but it was like, you had your local stars. So you set it up, and wrestlers were actually the first TV stars for a time, and then this is going back to people like Gorgeous George. And that's when they started to figure it out where, wait a minute, television is a tool for me to sell my brand. And then with Gorgeous George, he was a little more flamboyant with the robes and the bobby pins and the kind of like the character I'm doing now. But he used it as a form of just advertising himself. And then the business exploded. Like Haystacks Calhoun, he was like a good old country boy from the farm. And, like where you kind of hit and like any success I've had in wrestling, I just did an interview, like it was, we went like an hour and a half today with a pretty major wrestling news outlet. And every conversation always gets in, they ask me about my character stuff, because I've had this weird kind of thing where I will float from character to character, and it's for some reason accepted. And usually a lot of wrestlers, like, that doesn't happen. If they do it, their careers kind of go, but like, it's kind of like, it's cool. I've been able to do this, and have the fans still dig it. So what it is, it's extremely archetypal, right? We have these different kind of archetypes, whether, your heroes, your villains, and then there's all these, subgroups in there. But like, even past that, like the farmers, the flamboyant aristocrat, like whatever. And man, like, when you just hit on it and you can kind of base your persona on television around whatever you'd like to bring to life, right? Now you have to get the right combination, but once that happens, it is like, I was calling it magic today, because it really is, when people actually, like, they see you, and even though they know that, we are a show, right? The whole, we are,
Right.
we're the circus, but they still, when they meet you, it's still kind of like, oh, is he like his character? Is he? And it's just kind of cool, right? Like, to it, and that speaks
Cool.
more toward, I think, human nature, and in a good way. So, like, we want to believe, essentially.
We want to believe, and character and story has been how we used to give wisdom. So before there was television and radio and everything else, people told stories. Then they wrote books, but way before they even wrote books, it was sitting around the fire telling stories, and telling stories about characters and myths and gods and like that. And that's how we taught people these ideas about archetypes, and the suffering hero and the conquering hero, and then the villain, and all of that. And that was the way that we connected. So I have to ask you this. I've never asked you this. I've never even thought to ask you, because when we met and how we used to hang out, it was always about what we were doing in real life, right? I mean, you and I were friends, and we were hanging out with my daughter and Sherman and all of that, and the animals. How do you create a character? What's your process? What is important to you about a character?
The how-to is very, it is very in the moment, to be honest. Like, I have reached a point to where, like, if you say, I want you to go be an ice cream man on TV, right? Okay. I would research ice cream man, right? And okay, what do they do? What's like, and find some commonalities. Of those commonalities, I would simply take what works for me, and kind of stick with that. And then when it's time to perform, I would completely forget everything. And I would, no, but I would go out there. I would go out there because, like to me, right? Whether I'm kind of swinging a chair at somebody, or punching and getting punched, or I'm just on the microphone, because there's a lot of times now where I'm on the microphone and stuff. I am truly emotionally exhausted after every performance, because it is an energy exchange with the audience, right? Now, when I say, like, okay, if I'm a character, I'm going to wear something, right? Like, I'll wear what's comfortable in terms of whatever it is. But then when I'm out there, and like, I'll feed them some, like, I'll throw a couple lines out there, see what's biting, see what's not. And then usually, and then this is just, I have about, within 30 seconds, I'll be like, okay, this is what we're doing. And then I just go. There was, like, the original Damien Sandow character. It was very, there was bits and pieces taken from a few different people. But what I did, I kind of took them and then made this, this chop suey that it ended up working pretty well. And then again, like, adding my own layers to it. Because, like, to me, if you're going to have a good character in wrestling, and really, like, in TV, because wrestling is a little more primitive, right? Or like, well, I'll say primitive when it comes to just, identifying with characters, and okay, we're gonna have an athletic contest or a fight, for lack of a better term, or if we have a personal problem, we're gonna settle it in the ring. It's pretty much straight up, right? So we have to care about the people doing it, and in doing that, like, you have to, again, take some part of you and then just lay it out. And so either way, like, and is this making sense, by the way? Because I know, like, my brain,
so making sense.
yeah,
It's
because
so
again, like,
Right. You are talking about the sixth sense that we have. So we have hearing, you're listening to the audience and seeing, right? Feeling, taste, all of that. I get that.
Yeah,
We have another one that's so important. It's called intuition.
yeah,
It's that energy between you and me. It's that
yeah.
energy between you and what's going around you. And you are allowing, I mean, think about what you're giving as a gift, Aron. You are allowing 20,000 people to be part of the experience. When you go to theater, I can't yell out. I can't throw
Mm.
popcorn.
Hmm.
I can't,
Hmm.
I've got to listen to it. I've got to sit there passively and accept what they give me. And then I get to participate at the very end with my clapping. I mean, think about that. You invite all of us in to the performance. We have a say about this. Do you know how important? I mean, psychologically, I'm sitting there, community, belonging, creativity. I am as valuable to you as you are to me in that performance, in that experience. You have created an experience that I have value.
Mm. I never
I,
thought of it that way. Thank you.
it's
Wow.
magnificent. It's
Yeah.
called community psychology. There's actually a
Mm.
thing that you guys are doing and women that are doing that
Mm.
allows me to play with you. I'm
I
not
love that.
an
That's
observer.
cool.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
playing
and
with
that's what it
you.
is, right? To where like, I mean, there have been nights I've gone out there and I've literally like I one time and it was like I think we're like Durban, South Africa. They it could have been London, it could have been Durban. I'm sorry, like these towns they blend together well, but uh, it was Manchester, and I know it because I did laundry that day at the building. Sorry, that's how that's how that's a little inside information. That's how wrestlers identify on tour. Like, oh, they have laundry there, and we're 10 days into this thing. But like one night I went out and I just like before the matching, I just stood there and I looked, and then the building just kind of erupted, and I'm just like going, I think I'll stand here now. And then I stood there. I told the referee, I said, when I turn my back, tell him to hit me. So I stood there and I turned my back and I just raised my hand up a little bit, like to give a hat. And then the play started to come. But again, like that was just, it was in the moment. Right. And sorry to burst your bubble if, not all wrestling's fake, just that was, if you're still kind of wanting to believe, but no, like that's the magic of it, right? Where like we can interact, and that's what I say when I say it's an energy exchange. It truly is.
Truly.
So, the way you may exchange energy with someone, privately behind closed doors, the feeling you get after it's exhaustion, right?
Yeah.
It's very much the same thing with me. To like where after I'm performing, like I, you're on this high because it really is like
Right.
look to have that many people on a nightly basis, like whether it's 10,000 or like I've had 90,000, 100,000 a couple times, which is something. It's just it's a feeling that it just transcends everything, and like I think a lot of wrestlers, right, like after their career ends, that's what the problem is because there's nothing in the world that can equal that. Like if I God, just do something, and then I can just smile. Like, right, I would do like my own, like, and the place would just boo, and they're throwing stuff at you, and you're just standing there like, and you know what I mean. You do it to the other side. Um, it does something to you, right? To where you feel like you are in command. It is the biggest power trip, right? Psychologically too.
It
But
is.
at the same time, like the trick is, and here's the opposite side of the coin. Yes, like you are the conductor, but when I am out there, I am literally listening to them and giving absolutely like my performance is being dictated to a T by the people, right? Now usually it's like, hey, I'm going to take you on this roller coaster ride, right? Like this is the plan in a match and a step promo saying we're going to go, I'm going to make you laugh, I'll make you mad, I'll make you whatever, but if you ain't buying it, I ain't gonna keep trying to sell it. Like we're gonna do something else. And I think a lot of wrestlers today they don't do that. They have this like ABCD mentality. And if you do that, like you really lose the magic in this,
Oh my
you
God.
know.
I
And
the
and
only
that's
yeah. the only thing I can liken it to, so we would call that improv. So you have a structure, right? You've planned all of this stuff, and then you will throw it out the window in a nanosecond if it's not working.
Yeah.
Right? If the audience isn't buying it, or they've got another idea, or something's happened even in that community that you didn't know about and you weren't sure. And that improv is absolutely amazing. When I deal with comedians, they oftentimes say, oh, this is what I do. And then they go out and they go, I bombed. I don't know why. And I say, well, you didn't listen to the audience. You had this structure. You thought they were funny. You knew they were funny, and they were funny someplace else, and they're not tonight. Because you didn't read, you didn't invite them in to play with you. And so what I'm hearing is you have such high skill and experience. You have all these things you want to do and can do, and you've planned, and then you get out there and you trust yourself and your partners to go, we're taking a left here. We're taking a left. And then the audience responds, and you guys get more confident and validated. So now you know you're on a path together. And then I can't even imagine some of the greatest moments happened that you didn't plan.
Oh, absolutely. And 100%. It's interesting to where, like, if I don't know you and like we're doing anything on TV, right? So I'm with the NWA right now, which is owned by Billy Corgan, who's the lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins, and that's a whole another chapter in my life. I was at his wedding a few weeks ago. That was wonderful. It was great time, just phenomenal. He's been incredible, but no, like going back to our point, like when I'm doing anything, if I don't know somebody, and I jokingly say this, but it's understood. I go, and above all else, don't kill me and listen to everything I say out there, and we'll be just fine. And no, but that's and they're cool with it, because like I do have a reputation, admittedly, for changing things out there, but that's also why I have the reputation I have, professionally, which is like, and I've said this, and you and I struggled where I struggled, and you've helped me with that, in terms of my relationship with wrestling, to where Billy even talked about that in an interview we did recently, to where like I just had this weird aversion to it, for whatever, I know the reasons now and they're non-existent, but like no matter what, right? Like you have to kind of like, and to me anyways, right? Like I've accepted it now as part of who I am. And that has been kind of more healing than anything. And also like, and I had a very negative connotation for a while, but I also kind of, it blinded me to a degree, in the sense of like, when I met you, right? Like I was going through that period of discernment, shall we say.
Right. Am I getting
although it may have
back? Am I
felt more
not
like
going
the
to go
Dark Knight.
back? Yeah, be an actor.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, or more like the Dark Night of the Soul, but hey, depending on whatever. But no, ultimately it was to kind of like come to the conclusion, like, yeah, every time I've ever wanted a job, like a full-time job, I have been able to just literally, all I have to do is like, oh, yeah, I think I want to do this. And like, it's a blessing, right? It's a blessing. And again, it took me a while to kind of see that. And I'm saying like, this is Aron version 2 now, to where like my career's taken so many twists and turns. And like I'm a manager. Like I never thought
That's
I would
what I
be
want to
there.
talk about. Talk about more
Yes.
about that, because it's different now.
Oh my God. So here's the thing. Like I have nothing to prove in the ring at all. I mean, I have nothing to prove to myself. And I, every athlete, I can still do what I can do. Look, I can, right? Like I do test myself every now and then. Just, can I still like do the nip up? Can I still, do all like the, just to see, right? And
Right.
and look, you're not gonna be able to do it forever, but like physically, no, it's fine. It was the way the company was at the time. There was just an opening. So let me just try this. And I, more than any kind of in-ring work, I've been known, like I'm known as a character. Like I've been known for my mic work, like the work on the microphone, right? Like one of the people who talks more than they, that's my primary vehicle to get people to care about me, right? So just came up to manage, and I went, all right. And then and first night I was like, it's kind of fun. And then I just kind of stuck with it. And Billy asked me about it, he's like, yeah, how do you feel about being a full-time manager? I was like, of course. He's like, you're okay with that? You're not? I went, no. I was like, if I want to fall down, I'll let you know. But yeah, if you're gonna continue to just employ me here, and like that's fine. And it has been. We've talked about you know, giving back.
Right.
So people, like, they contact me all the time. Like, they want to fly me out, and I do these week-long seminars or weekend seminars or whatever. I'm like, no. Like, I have zero desire. No, I'm being honest, right? And
I know, and I know
I
they're
would feel guilty, yeah, taking people's money, because I have zero desire to go teach people how to fake fight, for lack. I mean, and look, I say that in jest. There's so much in when it comes to like wrestling or and I said fake fighting. There's nobody that takes this stuff more serious than me, because like,
right.
for all my character stuff, like, you have to be so on point, like you said, like, there can be no room for error. And there's a lot of people that have wrestling schools that shouldn't, because they've never done anything, right? But I know that's not for me. However, what I do is I can look at someone and be like, this is how you present yourself on TV to get people to care about you. Because in life, we have 3 to 5 seconds when we meet someone, right? Like, we always do the obsess up and down, right? Same thing on TV, if not worse, right? When you come through that curtain, there's 3 to 5 seconds. How are you going to get them to care about you? And then, like, helping them with their promos, as they say, with like how we, when you do your interviews in front of the camera. And so that, like, I've done 2 seminars so far, selective seminars, but they've kind of garnered really good feedback, and it's kind of cool because I get to give back like that. And as a manager, like, the people I'm with, I get to help them, and at the same time stay on TV. So that's one of those things where the God, the universe, when you let go of something, you'll get something even better. And it's great because, like I said, I feel awesome. I'm not bumped and bruised and everything like that. So yeah.
It's interesting when you talked about being asked to come to seminars. Here's what happened to me. I saw you as an inspiration. I saw you of helping people emotionally. Like, I saw you being, because that's how I know you. I know you with all the conversations we had about, what happened to us, our principles, how we are living on this planet, how we have relationships. People don't know. You talked about Sherman. Like, there were moments, many moments, where you saved her life, like literally helped her save her life. And what I mean that is, you were there when you are always there when people are going through difficult times. You say yes all the time. You are one of the kindest, most generous hearts I know. And I could see you up there just talking about life, about how to be the person you deserve to be and create the life you deserve to live, whatever that is, based on principles, because that's all we talked about. That's what we did together. And that's what you did for Sherman and for all the places that you volunteered. And that was the personal work you were doing when you weren't in wrestling for a while. Like, that was the
Thank you,
personal
because
work you were doing.
thank you, because with the stuff I was going through at the time, I had no idea. Seriously, like, I was
I
just,
know.
I didn't know I was, and I didn't know you even saw me like that, because I was just always like, I had a warped view of myself, and
I remember.
yeah, it was just again, something that I had to work through. But again, like, thanks to you, Sherman, Father Tim, who I met
Oh,
through you.
Tim.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
he's wonderful. There's been just a lot of people that have come into my life that have really helped me through it. And it's funny because I'm in a place now I never thought I'd be again. And that's, like, I look at some of my peers that are still kind of trapped. And it's funny because had I not gone away and moved to California and met everybody and gone through some of the stuff I did out there, I don't think I would have been able to fully heal. And it was, a lot of times I felt alone out there because I have a lot of my family's back here. And there was a relationship I was in that I didn't feel I was good enough to be in that relationship. So I pushed that person away, which we actually talked for the first time a little bit ago, which is interesting. But yeah, that was cool. But and I had a chance to say that to her. To where like that was, look, that was it was a bad, just a bad state I was in. But you know what? And I think I've told you this before, and I've said this before in interviews, but like, there was a period in my life where for 18 months I couldn't even look in the mirror because I was so like just disappointed in myself and I hated myself so bad. But we talked about principles, right? I never, even in that period, right? Like, and there was a degree of self-pity, there was a degree of self-loathing, there was a degree of whatever. But and in part of me being, a spoiled brat sometimes, but maybe a little part. But at the end of the day, I never lost my principles. And even though it was 18 months that I couldn't look in the mirror, here's the beauty of that. I was able to look in the mirror after that period, and I have been ever since. And I didn't kind of compromise any part of who I am, right? Like I've made choices that people said, "Hey, that's a bad career move," right? When you don't want to do something that's going to hurt someone else's career, and especially if it's someone you care about, and it's just a test to see if you'll do it or not.
Right.
But I don't play that, and that's the way it is, good, bad, and different. There were some situations in Hollywood that I was given the opportunity to get to know people a little better that, let's just say, I didn't want to, and that's fine, right? And it doesn't happen with everybody. Some people it does. It's a choice I made, and it's funny because I move and I'm getting more acting work than ever when there's not a strike going on, which is it's interesting, right? Yeah, but either way, it's just like being okay in the right now, right? And like all we have is this moment, and for years, right, where that sounded like a cliche, me beginning to understand that, and like seeing things to where like I'm making choices now that I'll say this, right? I don't regret not making in the past, because regret, like holding on to it, all it does is slow us down, right?
Right.
We can look at it and say, hey, I went through this stuff, or this stuff happened to me. I made this decision. I made that decision. Look, that was then, and it got us to where we are now. And if we're contemplating that, right, like the very fact that we're contemplating that shows us that we have arrived at the logical conclusion that that's not necessarily perhaps the best way to go. And with me, like I had to, my family, I haven't been as close with them as I'd like, and I say I love them with every fiber of my being. Like I was just trying to like find out who I was. But like now, I'm going back there in a couple of weeks, and cousin's getting married and everything, and my little cousin, who's also my godson, he's like, hey, a bunch of us are staying over. Do you want us? Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna take those couple extra days just to hang, and because like that's the kind of stuff that means a lot that I wasn't necessarily there, and when you're on the road 300 days a year, or when you're out trying to, chase rainbows, in LA, as they say, right? Or like you're trying to look at that pot of gold. It's something that can be put on the back burner, and now it's funny because the more time I'm thinking like about that, focusing on that, and about like the people who are there for me, and the like more professional success I'm getting to a degree, and that's really kind of cool.
Well, you know what you did that so often when you went through your difficult time, that inner evaluation, that struggle, I call it, about your value, where you belong, what you've done well, what you haven't, who do you want to be, and not even believing at times that you're worth being what you think about being or desire to be. Here's what you did do. You showed up every day to help somebody else. That's how I know you. So as much as you were struggling internally, as much as things had not gone well for you at that moment, as much struggle as you had in your own personal life, you were always out there helping somebody else. Us included, in terms of that ranch and Sherman, like not just them, MVP, everything. You never stopped knowing what was important. It was that connection with others and helping others. Like that's when you say seminars, I'm like, how are you not helping and talking to people about that struggle time and what we do and what we get to do and how we get to live this life? We don't know we get another one. I mean, I'm hoping I come back. I'd like to come back. I'd like to come back as a wrestler. That would be good. By the way, do you think I could be one, a grandmother wrestler? Like I want
You
to,
could be one right now,
I want to
Susie.
be like, I'm boxing.
No, you
3
right
days a
now.
week.
I tell you what, I'm a manager. If you need a manager, hit me up. We'll do this. No,
I want to do it. I want to do
we'll do
it.
this. We need a ring name. Like, okay, what can we do for what would your ring name be?
Well,
Shima?
no, they call me Jima. That's
Yeah.
what Logan calls me because Logan's now 18.
Mhm.
Like unbelievable that I can 18.
That's crazy. Oh my God.
And
He's doing well.
oh my God, so well. And I'm boxing with George Foreman's son, George number 3. You have to know the right number. So
That's
he's
cool.
wonderful. It's called craft boxing. It started here in Calabasas. Now he's opening them around the country. So when you do come back to LA, let me know. We'll go pound it out.
Oh my God, yeah.
You'll
Yeah.
have so much fun over there. It's such a great community. So I thought, oh my God, I did gymnastics. Like I know I can still do a handstand. I can still do a headstand. I can still do a
That's
flip.
awesome.
So,
Yeah.
right?
That's cool.
Oh no, I
That's
should
cool.
like just be a grandmother at least one time. Should show up as your grandmother.
No, we will make that happen. I mean, I'm telling you, be careful what you wish for.
I want to do it. I want to do
And
it.
you do not look like my grandmother. No, you wouldn't be my
I
grandmother.
can though. I can. We
Yes.
can make that happen. I mean, I got the
We'd
right
have you, yeah.
hair, right? We got the right hair, so I can just put it back. I can do that. So tell me, excuse me, tell me what's next. So you're here now. What do you think about when you think about the future?
So again, like for me, where I had always, like in life, I had taken a very opposite approach to my professional life. Like my professional life, I just like you hit a switch and I will go. Like I will out, get out there and like whether it's 50,000 or 500, like I'll get out there and do what I do. And we're talking about in the moment and just letting the next thing happen, like letting it unfold. Like you go out there and you kind of communicate what's going on in a ring. I'm not worried about where, where we're going 2 minutes from now. I'm just like, let's do this and we'll figure it out. In life, I was always like, okay, I came out here to accomplish X, Y, and Z. I haven't done that so far. What is wrong with me? Like, I'm not accomplishing this. Like, something is wrong with me. I need to, and I just kind of kept like that. And I would worry about the future. So to me, like, I cannot tell you where I'm going to be 6 months from now, to be honest with you, let alone, 5 years. However, what I can tell you is that philosophically and emotionally, 5 years from now, I hope I have the same mentality I do now, if not some kind of a refined version of it. And that is taking every day one day at a time, and also like seeing the opportunity in everything we get. Like I've had more opportunities in film and television when there's not a strike going on, because I've kind of just let it go, and then people are kind of seeking me out now. Okay, that's cool. Some other stuff that I've had has been very positive, and so I'm just kind of like, all right, like whatever, and it's trusting the universe, God, whatever you put your faith in, to like let it happen. You know what I mean? And again, like to me, anxiety is something that I have struggled with big time. Like as a performer, I think, and I'm sure there's studies done. You may know more about this than me, but like there's some weird kind of brain chemistry to when like you're out there and you're performing the whole time, and then it has to do something in your brain, because like again, the feeling of euphoria, I mean, you can't feel that good for so long and have there not be a come down, right? And that's just, but no, it's right, like whatever.
It's true.
And so it's stuff you kind of, but again, to understand what it is and to learn how to manage it, that's a great thing.
That's the key. That's the key, to be able to put it in context. So one of the things we do is you can go up and down with your feelings and your thoughts. I tell people, listen, I'm a therapist and I don't give a shit about what you think, and I don't give a shit about how you feel. I care what you do, because what you do changes your thoughts and feelings. And most of what you think about yourself and feel about yourself was either done to you or told to you. Think about that. And that happens as a child and as an adult. So what you're talking about now is living in the moment of what you're doing, not your critique about yourself, not your thoughts and feelings about yourself anymore. It's like, what am I doing? I'm at this wedding. This is lovely. I'm walking out. Here's 20,000 people, and they're all excited about doing something together. So let's do it.
Mhm.
That's like the most Buddhist thing you can do, is to live in the moment and to be here now and to
Yeah.
be present. And that actually, Aron, that actually builds your foundation for the future.
Hmm.
So
So yeah.
people keep planning the future a lot, and we have to do that. And then what happens is they have this 1 year, 5 year, 10 year plan, and it doesn't necessarily plan out, and they can get terrified that they've messed up, that it's not going to happen, and blah, like this. And then that starts that whole, anxiety wheel,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I think a lot of it, like, too, it's like anxiety. It's okay. Worry about what could happen in the future, right? So, like, to a degree, it's a search for security.
that's right.
And like, I was looking for external circumstances to provide me that feeling. So I think a big thing for me, and look, do I still get anxiety? Yes, but um, I also found security in the way I'm looking at every situation now. Like, that is my security. That is my, like, all right, look, no matter what happens, I'm going to deal with it. Like, right, I'm still here. I've lived through extreme highs. I've lived through extreme lows. I've been in situations that, if I told you about it, you may not believe me, but I can, you know what I mean? Like, I know what happened, kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Um, and everything in between. And yet here I still am.
that's right. Here I am.
And that's kind of the key, right?
Well, it's like there's a great Buddhist saying that says, no matter where you are, no matter where you go, there you are. No matter where
Yeah.
there
Mhm.
you are. You're always going to be there. And if you're looking outside of you for somebody else to give you something, you're right. They may not be there, and they may not be able to give you what you deserve, but we can always do that with ourselves. I'm
Yeah.
just so thrilled. I can't thank you enough for this. This is
My God,
just,
this is great.
I
Yes.
know.
Like,
I
it's
mean,
like it's like we were just FaceTiming and we'll make it a podcast, right?
right. Okay, next time, like we're just gonna do it, and we'll be sitting. I'll have my glass of wine, and we'll talk about.
Yes,
All right.
absolutely.
You're in Kentucky. Where do you perform next, and how do we find you? How do we find your performance? So it's NWA.
NWA, I think very soon you're going to see us on a much more well-known platform. And I don't want to
Right.
I don't want to spill the beans, but right now, you can catch NWA Power on. It's a show. We're on YouTube TV.
Okay.
It airs at 6:05 on Tuesday. Show's free. And then you can go back and watch anything. My failed weddings on there. It was actually, I'm not trying to brag, but I think it was the most rated or highest rated episode of Power in the last several years. I'm just saying, but the wedding didn't end well. So I'm
that
still
was
thinking.
just typecasting. I mean, that I see you like not getting close to a wedding and backing out anyway. So
Oh yeah. Oh, so all right, and not to keep you, but can I tell? This is a funny, like, this is just one of those things where, so to bring it in, like, one of my best friends in the world, he's Santino Morelli, who was in WWE forever, but him and I, like, we lived together for like 7 years. We travel together, like, he's family to me, and he's with another company, but we got him to come in and, like, be the preacher for the wedding. And so, like, we're sitting there and, like, we have to take these mock wedding photos. And I mean, he knows me better than pretty much anybody. Like, there's a couple people in this world that, like, truly know, like, me, like the road version of me.
right.
Right. So that's, we'll leave it at that. But we're like, hey, look at this. I go, this is just like if I was getting married for real. Like, I call him Boris. And even though it's not his real name, am I right? He goes, yeah. He goes, the sad part is this is the closest we'll ever get to it. It's funny because it's true. And you know what I mean? But it was like, and some people didn't know how to take that, but I laughed so hard because it was true. I'm like, oh, yeah,
That's right.
but yeah, it's just funny. And yeah, but like I said, moments like that, it's cool. But we'll be, I'm sorry, I digress. On Fight TV, that's where you're going to be able to see, it's the 28th of October. We have a big pay-per-view, NWA Samhain. It's like this Halloween thing. And it's gonna be a little nuts. Like, some of the stuff we're planning. It's definitely old school wrestling. Like, if you like that kind of, the 80s, the 90s, the different characters, but it's gonna be some hard hitting action, shall we say? And past that, actually I have to go to Cleveland on Friday, because there's this like part of the thing is like there's this talent evaluation thing going on that I have to go to. Then I go to Toronto for like 10 days with Santino because I get to go see his kid. He has a big school, so like I'll teach for a week there and the character stuff, and I get to just go like I hang out with him and his kids. We do it like twice a year, so it's like Uncle Aaron comes to town, which is fun, and from there, cousin's wedding in Massachusetts, back to Cleveland for the pay-per-view, and then back to Louisville to enjoy Halloween. So, yeah.
Awesome. I can't wait. Someday I'm going to be in that audience, or I'm going to be in that arena, like in that ring.
Oh, you already said it. Someday you may be in front of the camera. I hope you have a blue dress to match my jacket.
You have no idea how I can be your grandmother. You just don't know I can do that.
Oh no, no. I'm gonna want you to be that, like, oh, Suzi, I want you to just be you with the volume turned up. It'll be perfect. Trust me.
Well, I can be that, smoking grandmother too. I can just
be whatever you want, whatever you want, and I'll put the jacket on, and that's it. You know what?
All right, we're in.
You got it. You got it.
I adore you. I can't even thank you and tell you how much I appreciate you and all that you gave to us at the ranch. Sherman, all the time you were here. I can't even tell you how grateful I am for you. And I'm so blessed that we've reconnected. And I can't wait to spend more time with you. I miss
You're wonderful. Thank you.
And I love it. All right.
Thank you. No, you're awesome.
All right, everybody. This was Be Crazy Well. I can't think of anybody more crazy well than this guy, Aron Haddad. And hey, Aron, theme song was given to me by Kalvin Love. It's called Be Your Best Self. His dad happens to be Snoop Dogg. And he gave me this wonderful song, and he's such a great musician himself. So make sure you listen to that when you see this, we post this.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Love you. Bless you.
Love you too, Sue. Thank you. Bye-bye.